Hello everyone and welcome to Skycurser Daily number 34, where it's our goal to be a better indie dev today than we were yesterday. Today we're going to pick up right where we left off yesterday. Yesterday we left off with consolidating the collisions for the mini blast bullet into one collision script. And so we're continuing along that path. We've got a few more collisions that we've got to account for, specifically for the mini blast bullet, and we may soon move on then to the katana and the shotgun blade to consolidate those as well. But I think I might take a break in between so that once we finish the mini blast bullet, we're probably going to just make a few minor adjustments on the enemies. Whenever we damage the enemies and take out the enemies, we're going to go ahead and put basically just a score indicator whenever we kill an enemy, and we'll probably put a health bar indicator as well. I think that might be good for the player as they're going through and just trying to figure out how much health is left on a particular unit. So that's what we've got in store for today. And feel free to ask questions as they come up. So let's go ahead and get into this. So yesterday we left off with our script, in particular our weapons script, where we are doing collision detection. And we're only addressing the mini blast bullet right now in the script, but this will be the script where everything is addressed. The point of us moving everything into this particular script has been pretty important. We had let's check and see how many we have moved over to this script so far. Let's see, it's going to be in the data structure weapon map generator, and right now we've moved over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 enemies into this collision script. Previously, all of the enemies were basically separated in our step event for our mini blast bullet. So if we go to that, the step event for the mini blast bullet, which can be found right here, we can see that we have moved all of these enemies right here, and what we have left is object boss 1, hit vehicle, and hit heli. So particularly the object based vehicle and the object heli wolf. The heli is a helicopter in level 2. The base vehicle is representing all vehicles in level 2 on the street that are driving by on the street below. So not a lot left in terms of what we have to cover here. I think there may be 1 or 2 more items. Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be pretty much it on what we have to transfer in. The hardest part that we're going to have to transfer in is this this collision with the boss. But once we get that transferred in, these other 2 should go pretty fast. So let's just focus on this, and then we'll switch gears for a moment and look for something a little bit more exciting, at least for now, because we've been working on this for so long, and move over to score indicators and health bar indicators. So the way I've been addressing this is making sure I figure out what each of the enemies needs to pass into the collision detection script. I've got that all mostly figured out in this data structure weapons map, and we're basically creating variables that we need and passing them in as necessary via a data structure to the weapon collision, so the weapon collision script. So that script again is right here. And so once everything gets over to here, we basically do overloading parameters, which is something a little bit tricky to do in GameMaker Studio. Basically, you have to kind of declare all the potential variables, and then you can basically look to see if, in this case we used a data structure, but if we used just straight up arguments, we could look to see what the argument count was and then only set a variable if the argument count was a certain number. The problem that we were running into with this in particular was there were some, we were getting kind of high on our argument count for a script. GameMaker has a limitation. You can only pass in 16 arguments to any script. So we decided to convert over to a data structure so that we wouldn't run into a problem eventually with this collision script. So once we did that, now we just pass in keys and values. So we just look to see if a particular key exists. If a key exists, then we set the value of that key to the argument, and this is how we overload parameters with a data structure in GameMaker Studio. Data structure, if you're familiar with typical programming languages, is kind of like an associative array. Well, a data structure map is like an associative array, and a data structure list is basically like just an array without any keys. So just only indexes, so 0 through whatever number you have on your data structure list. Okay, so where are we at here? So we're trying to import this guy in over to the weapon collision, and the things that we need to take note of are going to be important for this script right here. So the first thing that we look at is where the bullet collides with the enemy. Let's see if I can find that. I know this is kind of it, but I'm looking more for where the blood spatter or the bullet impact is going to happen. And so in this particular case, we're just going to pass in the X and the Y value for that. So and the X and the Y value in this case represents the X and the Y value of the bullet and not the enemy. So there's X and Y for 1 and 2. So X position, Y position. Value number 3 for this data structure could be the sound. And are we going to pass in a sound? Yes, that's it right there. So here we go. DS value 3 equals this guy. And we have an X position and a Y position too. This is in case we need to do different effects based on where the bullet hits. The impact sound 2 would be related. Impact effect 2 would also be related to position 2. And then death by is only applicable to the bubble eyeball, the BEB we call it for short. Depending on what weapon collides and kills with the bubble eyeball, that's important for our script to determine how many points to award the player. If a bullet connects with the bubble eyeball and kills the bubble eyeball, the player only gets 1 point. If the katana blade connects with the bubble eyeball, then the player gets 2 points. So I think this is mostly it in terms of things that we need to find out and pass into this script. But we do have a lot of other pieces here that are going to be important for us. Let me just review our weapon collision script and make sure what I think is going to happen is going to happen. Okay, so it looks like we have a special scenario here where we got to make sure that we can actually connect with the boss. So we'll check for that. That'll be added onto here, up here on this if statement. We only light up the boss every 10 hits. So this is a hit counter, a modulus. It's basically hit counter modulus 10, and every 10 hits, then we set the flashing variable to true. So we'll put that in this if statement. And then every 100 hits, we play a unique sound for the boss. Kind of indicates a different kind of growl depending on how many hits we have. So that's definitely unique to the boss. No other enemy does that right now. If hit points is greater than 0. I think we have this accounted for down here in our script collision impact with sound. We basically had to write this script last night, kind of on the fly, mainly because we added the NecroStar into this script, and the NecroStar has a couple of opportunities to call the same set of code. So in order to keep from duplicating the code over and over again, we had probably a solid 3 or 4 lines that would be duplicated. We just wrote this little script last night, and the script is pretty simple. Here it is. It's just doing a check to see the X and the Y position and the particular impact object. So again, is this a meat impact, which would cause a blood spatter, or is this a bullet impact, which would cause kind of a deflection looking impact on the enemy? And then do we want to pass an impact sound in? There's a different sound depending on what gets connected with. So if the mini blast bullet connects with metal, it does a metal sound on this argument, and if it connects with meat, then it does like a squishy sound, kind of like it's connecting with meat, mainly for the blood spatter that occurs. So yeah, that was a little bit unique to add into here last night, but we have to make sure that we're passing in what should be appropriate for this, and I think we're good in that case. So let me just keep looking here for a minute. Hit points greater than 0, then do the blood spatter. Let's see. Yeah, and this is perfectly fine. And then if hit points is less than 0, less than or equal to 0, if the boss has an attack that is currently out there, then destroy the attack. Basically, you don't. The reason why we want to destroy the boss's attack, the boss has mainly 2 kinds of attack. He has an attack that is a lightning strike, and he also has an attack that is an orb. And I don't think I'm accounting for the orb right here, although I should. The main reason why is because we don't want to get into a scenario where Skycurser destroys the boss, but then the boss destroys him right after that with one of his lingering bullets. I think it's fair to the player to let the player beat the level. If he beats the boss, then the weapons that the boss is using should also disappear. So I'm going to verify that real quick. The enemies, level 1, boss 1. So the attack that he has, I guess we have a couple of attacks that we need to destroy, a couple of items, and we may already be taking care of this with the death animation of the boss, so let's look in here first. So if he's created any units, destroy them, destroy the tank, destroy the missile that the tank has, destroy the smoke that's attached to the missile smoke. Actually, I don't think we're destroying the tank bullet, but let me keep looking here. This is the missile in his head. This is the smoke from the missile in his head. This is the fire from the missile in his head, and then we grant Skycurser 1 kill. So if you're wondering why the scoring system is so simple right now, that was intentional initially, but we're going to update the scoring system. It will be much more complicated, and won't just be a 1 point for every unit that's destroyed. So I think I see a couple more items that really should be destroyed when the boss is destroyed. Let me just check and see if there's anything else here. Boss 1 attack. Okay, so that's the lightning bolt. I think what we'll do is remove the boss 1 attack from where it is over here in the mini blast bullet script. Let me just keep looking for it here. Game Maker, not the best with window management, but it's what we have to work with. So I think what we'll do here is take this guy out of here, which is probably where it should be anyway, and put it into here where the boss is destroyed. So we will make sure the boss's attack disappears with the boss. We'll also make sure the boss's attack orb disappears with the boss. Let me verify that. Attack orb. And then we'll also do one more thing, which is make sure the boss's tank missile. And these were just the reason why these weren't accounted for yet is because we've added a lot to the boss since I wrote this initially. So I think we're in good shape here. Tank, missile in his head, smoke from his head, fire from the boss's missile in his head, then his attack, which is the lightning bolt, the orb, which comes out with the lightning bolt, and then the tank bullet, which could be shot from the tank if the boss is using it. So I think we're good there. We were totally good to remove it from the step event that we just addressed. And again, looking for it with all these windows, it's a little bit hard to get to. I think it's this guy. We can remove him. Here's the mini blast bullet step. This is where I'm trying to get to. And so this can disappear altogether. Instance destroy is already taken care of. That's technically the bullet because this is in the step event of the bullet. And then we need to convert this over to the collision script. So let's find it. Here we go. If script object is vulnerable, we may be able to just put this right into that script. So I think that would actually make the most sense. So I'm going to look for that. And so I'm going to head over there right now. And find the script object is vulnerable. And we'll do that right here. Case object boss 1 break and what's the exact one that we're looking for? Hit boss 1 dot vulnerable invulnerable. If object boss 1 dot invulnerable is equal to true, then is vulnerable equals false. Otherwise, by default, he is vulnerable. So there's a couple of points when the boss is fighting that he is invulnerable, and that's the only time that we want to send this through this script. And this is something that's checked every step, so we're good to just pass it this way. Okay. And let's see here. Okay, so one thing that I was thinking about with yesterday's stream, I just now remembered this from yesterday's stream. I was having a problem with bullet impacts right at the end of the stream. As soon as I got off stream, I just kind of looked through my code and realized what the problem was. I was checking to see if argument 8 was undefined for a weapon impact to occur, and weapon 8. Argument 8 is always defined, mainly because I declare a default up here at the top. So it was always getting into here and basically it was working, but it was there was sometimes where well, the correct impact wasn't occurring that I thought should be occurring. And so all I had to do was change this from is undefined to check for if true or false. Basically, the argument evaluates to true if it's not false and it is set to a string. So not all programming languages work this way. More than just GameMaker language does work this way, but this was all I had to do for updating this and making sure the correct bullet impact occurred on the correct on each of the different enemies. So that bug was nixed right after the end of the stream yesterday. So okay, done going back and updating. So I think we're good here. I think we just updated this because we we call a script called script object is vulnerable, and that gets called every step, so that can change depending on where we're at in the game, specifically when fighting the boss. And we only want to make sure we take hit points off the boss when he is vulnerable, and I think we just addressed that in that script. Additionally, we've got this property on the boss that we need to increment if the particular object that we're colliding with is the boss. So I think what we'll do here is add it right here, and we'll just say if object get name argument 1 is equal to object boss 1, then we know we have a valid impact, and we can go ahead and make the boss blink here. Let's see. You know, actually, we didn't have. I like the way it was, so I'm going to take it out of for sure when we decrement the hit points, and just let it occur. There are a few very specific reasons why we don't let the player decrement the hit points. In other words, make the boss invulnerable, but we like the idea that it always looks like you're damaging the boss. Those periods of time are not long at all, but feeling like you're constantly damaging the boss even when he's going through his routine is actually pretty satisfying to the player. So we keep that outside of where we actually decrement the hit points. Hit dot, trying to get this right, hit counter plus plus. Alright, and then here's where we do the flashing, and so this is what we'll do here. I think we'll add on to this if statement, and we will only set flashing to true if let's say script object is vulnerable and not as undefined, hit dot flashing. Then we can say and object get name argument 1 is equal to object boss 1. I'm going to put this in parentheses and close out the parentheses down here. So if object is boss 1, and hit counter modulus 10 is equal to 0. I feel like that's not entirely correct. This is a little bit more of a complicated if statement. So hit counter plus plus object get name argument 1 is equal to object boss 1. I think we're going to have to make sure hit counter. No, I think we're good there. But the way we have it right now, it's only going to ever be set to flashing if we're fighting against the boss. So that's not entirely correct, and I'm trying to think what's the way to correct this. because I'm trying to prevent myself from writing an if statement inside of an if statement and then duplicating hit.flashing if I don't have to. I do want these other items to occur for the boss, but don't want the boss to negate it for everybody else. Okay, so I think what I'll do is write this into a script and have everything else return true. But if it's the boss, it could potentially return false. So let's do that here. Create a script. Script object boss check. Let's just call it a boolean and say we will script object boss boolean and then argument 0 equals the object with which the weapon is colliding. And that should be it. And then we'll say var enemy bool equals true. Return enemy bool. I think enemy bool might be a better enemy boolean, mainly because this is only applicable to it's applicable to everything except for the one scenario where we need to make sure it doesn't occur for the boss. So enemy bool equals true if argument 0 is equal to, let's back this up, object get name argument 0 is equal to object boss1, and I think we'll pass in one more argument. So let me think about that for a second, if that's a good idea or not, because not everything else has a hit counter. I think we're going to have to do that. And we'll set that argument to false by default. Argument 1 equals hit counter. Var hit counter equals false. And hit counter modulus 10 is equal to 0. If argument count is greater than 1, then hit counter equals argument 1. Otherwise, this will be false modulus 10 is equal to 0. I'm not sure how that's going to respond, but technically it should never hit here if it's not, well, technically it should never hit here if it's not object boss 1. But we'll see how GameMaker responds or does that for us. Then in this case we say I think we would probably be best served doing it this way. If I take that back. I think we can do this. Let's just say does not equal 0. Then enemy bool equals false, and we've returned everything correctly to the script that we need to. Should only be available for boss. So hit counter is equal to false by default. Let's just set something in here first, hit counter and hit counter modulus 10. So it should stop here if it gets past this for some reason, because it's going to be false by default, but then when it gets to, you know, the boss, it should actually have a hit counter here. If it does not equal 0, then we don't want it to flash, so I think we were returning false there correctly. So let's just call script, let's call this flash bool. Again, we're passing in argument, pass in arg 1, because that's the enemy with which the weapon is colliding. And hit counter we will set right ahead of this. We'll set it here by default. And then we'll set hit counter to hit counter if it's the boss. Default false, and then just pass in hit counter right here, and that should activate our script correctly. Hit counter, of course, we're just forcing it to be false here, but just in case, we'll pass it in. This should take care of flashing correctly. Okay, let's check that out, and then we'll go to all the way to the boss. We'll make sure all the units are working correctly. We may have written a bug in there, and we may need to finish up trying to pull the boss over, so I may do that first. As soon as this compiles, I'll pull it out and keep migrating the boss script over. So that'll just take a moment. Last couple days my computer's been running a little bit slow. I think it's just overheating too quickly. So I'm going to need to put a fan on this thing to hopefully keep it cooler longer and run a little bit smoother. The second I get done streaming, it basically works just fine. So it's just working too hard. It's an old laptop, so it's about time for an upgrade. Okay, so we took care of this. We were going to add these other items in. Yep, we've already taken care of this, and the last thing we need to do is play these sounds. I should probably just say greater than or equal to 100, because technically it should just get reset. And I'm sure the game is still compiling. I'm surprised we haven't gone in yet. but we're almost finished anyway. So as soon as it goes in, I'm going to exit out and then come back. One argument, 2 provided. Let me look at that Boolean script. I mean, I know I'm supposed to pass in 2 arguments. Let me see what I got here. I think I probably wrote the arguments in different cases. Here it is. Argument 1, argument 0. So I wrote them in different ways. I think it's assuming they should both be written one way. Let's try that. That should fix that. And since it paused before going in, that's fine. We'll just finish adding this piece right here. So I think the last piece that we can do, I'm just going to make some notes here. Increment hit counter if boss, at least if boss 1, and then decrement hit points. This should be generate sound every 100 hits, and this one would be make enemy flash when hit. So I think I'll put this script right here inside of this one right here, because I don't need to write object get name object boss 1 again. Hit counter greater than or equal to 100. I'm going to say, instead of hurt equals 1, I'm going to say var hurt equals 1. I think it's a better representation of that variable. Var hurt choice is there. Audio play sound. And instead of hit boss 1, this is hit counter. And I think we're good. I think that will take care of everything. So I deleted a lot out of here. I'm going to back out the changes that I made here. Just so that I can still have them before I save this file. I think that's probably about it. I'm waiting for this to finish up here. I think I was just talking through it, and I think we're good. So I'm just going to actually just comment this out, and if everything is correct, I will 100% be able to collide with the boss as necessary. But I got to make sure I write that into the script generation. And that's all I do is that right here, object boss 1, boss level 1, thumbs up. I think that's it. Let's go test.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
right now, we're not testing the shotgun or the katana blade, we're only testing the working cannon bullets. Mainly because that's what we just worked on, but everything looks good and looks like it's working. Exactly sure where that came in at. Looks like it's whenever we connect with the tank. Is that right? Yeah. So there's a problem when connecting with the tank. Something's not getting passed correctly, but everything else was right, guys. So that's really encouraging. Sorry for the slowdown on the gameplay. Again, my laptop seems to be running a little bit slow. Okay. So what do we have to check out here to make that get corrected? Tank 1 is here. Object Boss 1 tank, I should say, is here. I had the same problem on Boss 1 tank and Boss 1 tank drop. I think that issue occurs right here, to be honest, and to be exact. I think that happens right in this line where the incorrect thing gets generated. I'm just trying to play this through in my head exactly how this is going to work with the tank. Argument 8 should be this guy. It should actually come through as this guy. Sound impact metal. I'm going to verify this. So DSV7 turns into impact effect 2. And then when I get to this script, ARG8 is here, but impact effect 2 turns into ARG8. So then ARG8, argument 8, gets set right here as the weapon impact, and then should go through here. The X and Y position were correct. The sound was correct. So we've got 4 arguments passing into this script. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, which is 4 arguments. If the argument count is greater than 0, then set argument 0 to argument 0. If it's greater than 1, argument 1, greater than 2, argument 2, greater than 3, argument 3. 0 and 1 were correct because they were the X and Y position. Argument 2 should have never been false. I think what happens when false gets sent into here, that's when we see the bug with Skycurser being generated. And technically, it should never get past here, but I think this is where it's getting to. And having a problem, although everything that I'm passing in looks correct to me. So I'm just doing some troubleshooting here, trying to make sure that I think it's going where it should be going. Man, I think we're good there. I don't know why that bug is actually occurring. I'm trying to prevent it from occurring by doing this, but it should technically never get past here if it's set to false. I'm also going to do one other thing here. If R2 is equal to object Skycurser, which I don't know why it's doing that, but it is, then set it to object bullet impact. What's the name of that? Explosion bullet impact, right? Let's see. I think this is the right one. I'm on computer. Yep, that's right. Okay. So this is me just trying to force it if for some reason it evaluates to object Skycurser. So let's try that. But I think, guys, we successfully converted the boss over to this script. That leaves two other objects. I'm going to go back in and test this really quick. Bye-bye. Please don't post spam in this room.
Mission 1. Death at dusk.
So I think he should also be losing there, but he's not. Yeah, probably so. Totally the tank. Not exactly sure why the tank. I guess the other thing, I guess I don't need to pass in the actual argument of the object that's being collided with there. First things first. This is not occurring the way I think it should be. So I don't even think this is happening apparently, because I think there's got to be something else that's occurring. Wondering if this is happening. Shouldn't be, because this is object enemy 1. I mean, this really has to be happening right here. Yeah.
Laura said she can sneak out for a few minutes to walk around the block. Liam's still asleep. Is that okay? Can I go?
Yeah. I probably won't get Liam up for a little bit if he wakes up.
Okay.
Okay. What could be the problem here? The only other thing I could think of is that instead of R2, yeah, of course being set to false, that it was just being set somehow to object Skycurser. And I don't know why that would be the case, but we should be able to get around that by just making this object explosion bullet impact. If it's even reaching that spot, because it just seems like it's not reaching that spot. The other piece that I wanted to update was the flashing for the boss. I'm going to have to go look at I guess I didn't even have a check on here to make sure that the boss was vulnerable or not. So, I think I can take that off of that script. Whoops, wrong script. Close. Let's look at the object as vulnerable one. Yeah, I think I can take this guy out altogether. And just make sure that that is occurring on the hit point decrementer. Well, you need it to be there on that check, but not on this one. Yep.
I shouldn't be down really long.
Okay. Maybe. So we're going to allow the vulnerability check on the hit points coming through, but we're not going to allow the vulnerability check on the flash, which is the purpose of this. Allow vulnerability check on hit points, but not on flash or boss mainly. So we're going to set argument 1 to false on the flash check. And that's fine for all the other objects that hit this to be false, because none of the other objects really care. We're only checking this for the boss. So let's check that. I bet he'll flash this time whenever he's not vulnerable, but that's fine because that's what we want. And then still not certain that I have the issue fixed with the tank, but we're gonna see if we can figure that out here. Kind of important to figure out before I move on. Okay, I've got a problem with the way I'm calling the arguments. Let's go fix that real quick. Where are you at? Game Maker, be responsive, please. Still not it. Well, I guess it's saying 107. What does it say? Expects one argument, 2 given. So let's go look again back to the way I'm calling it. Or I have the script. So script object is vulnerable right here. And I think I'm calling them differently, which I am. This should fix that problem. 0 and 1. So I should be able to do either based on the way I have it. Let's try this again.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
That's working like it should be. Okay, but we still have the bug with the tank. So frustrating. So close to having all these working together. Let me go look at my script here. I'll close some of these windows and see if that helps with the processing power of my computer and Game Maker. Not exactly sure if I'm not sure if like Game Maker can't handle it or if it's my computer. Of course, I think the more windows I open, probably the more processing power Game Maker uses, but not sure. So there's the tank and the tank drop. Let's get called properly. I think we're good here though. I think I can remove this guy. Only got 2 objects left, guys, after we figure out what's going on with these other 2. Boss 1 tank here, tank drop here. I think I could just pass in. Oh. I think I see what the problem is. Guys, this might be it. 6 here, 6 here, and go 7 on these 2. And I may not even need that sound impact. I think I need it, but I need it on 3. That should fix that. Let's try that. Come on, computer, hold up for me. I know you can do it. Stick with me here. Well, I think I should also push my work to get the bit bucket. We'll do that in a second. I don't want to lose any work. If for some reason this laptop just can't hold up.
Death at dusk. Go.
Fast forward. Not gonna create a whole bunch of instances of objects until I get to the boss. Okay, here we go. Just want to get to the tank to see if we solve the tank problem. Boom, fix it. Make sure we fix it and drop it. I think I got it. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm pretty sure I have it there. Come on. Try to connect again. I'm not exactly sure what the heck's happening here. There it is. I'm just trying to make sure all this work is available if my computer just can't hold up. It's a sad day when you have to get a new computer, especially a good one these days, man. Costs, you know, I mean, some people say $700 or $800, but I think a good one would be like $1,500 to $2,500 for a laptop. I mean, a regular computer would be about the same too. depending on, you know, what you get and what you're looking for, but you want a semi-decent one, you got to pay for it. Okay, and man, we're in such good shape right now, guys. The orb does not matter yet. The heli wolf and the base vehicle do matter. So, man, I want to get through this today. So let me see if I can do this fairly quickly, and I think I can with these two units. So it's going to be in the step event that we're going to need to address. This is the I don't need the impact sound. So I fixed that, so I'm going to actually put this back to the way I had it, guys, so that it's not giving a default there, because that obviously wasn't the problem. Even when I had that in place, it still had a bug when I was passing everything incorrectly. So this is what I need to update, these two. So I think I might just update these at the same time, because I think I can get them, and then this guy doesn't need updated until I actually add the katana, so I'm not going to do that yet. This guy needs some work altogether, but let's see. Okay, this one's a little bit more complicated. But shouldn't be too complicated. Man, it almost looks like this one doesn't even have an impact, and I don't necessarily think it does. I don't necessarily think it needs one. Maybe it does. Yeah, I could do it on when the hit points is greater than 0. And I actually want to address it first, so let me just switch these positions. Not that it matters tremendously, but just in terms of doing this correctly, DSV1 equals X, DSV2 equals Y, that's the bullet position, X and Y. DSV3 equals sound, impact, metal, yep. Metal. DSV7, sure, equals object, explosion, bullet, impact. And then we'll just do, that'll be on the if hit points is greater than 0, and if hit points are less than 0, we'll do all these other things. This is already taken care of in our script. Let me just comment these lines out instead of just deleting them. And this is the stuff that's unique. Self is the bullet in this case. We've already taken care of self. That technically doesn't even need to be in here. But this is going to be the important part. That's going to be unique to the vehicle on the ground. And we'll just say object base vehicle. We'll write this in probably about right here. Now let's write it in right here. And we'll just go if object get name. We're inside the tank EV. Don't want it to be there. Object get name of the argument 1 is equal to object base vehicle. Then we're good there. We'll set these variables. We'll change this to hit.speed and hit.depth. This will be hit. And we're probably going to move this up out of here because this will be a little bit unique. This needs to be hit, 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 hit. And then that's fine to leave the way it is at the moment. Less than or equal to 0. We could theoretically just take this all the way out. Let me think. Yeah, I think we could take this all the way out and put this in the destroy event of the base vehicle. Then I wouldn't even need this in the I wouldn't even need to make a special case inside of this script. So that would be going here and going to actually obstacles. Let's go to the destroy event of the base vehicle. There's not a destroy event yet. Let's add one. Destroy, controls, drop in the action. Normally I would put this in a script, but I'm trying to tie this off and get this out of where it currently is, so I'm just going to drop them here, and we'll just call this speed, depth. We don't have to worry about hit points being less than 0 here. We'll make sure that's in the step event. Let me make sure it's already in the step event. Okay, so we gotta go up and look at that script real quick. Come on, Game Maker, work with me here, man. Step if less than 0. Yep. So we're good. We've already got it destroying properly. Now in the destroy event, all we gotta do is take this guy out, take this one out. How'd it go?
It's very hot outside.
This will be X, this will be Y. What do you think about that? Oh no, I do have to, I'm thinking through this, guys. I do have to, mainly because of this right here. This X and Y position are directly related to the bullet. So I do have to put it inside of the weapon collision.
Have you heard it for a little while?
Just for a minute.
How about you slept 3 hours, like 3 plus.
So I'm going to take this destroy event and remove it. Delete it. Yep. And so we'll just leave this back in here, which is fine. This is the important thing. I needed the hit X and the hit Y. This might be it. var explosion. And that might be it right there. We'll test that in just a moment, and then from here, let me look at this for a second. This would have to be after. I think what I'll do is go over to the collision impact with sound and make sure that the unit has more than 0 hit points, because there's no point in doing this for the last hit, especially when it should just be an explosion. And I guess I can't do it right here because we haven't passed in the object. And this guy could be consolidated as well. I'll do that in a second. Yeah, we could pull this guy up out of here like this. Weapon impact is defined right up here, right? Weapon impact, where are you? There you are. Weapon impact is right there, so we can write it right here. And final choice is defined right there. Perfect. So this guy could be modified from what it currently is to, and I think I'm going to do one more thing here, guys, which is set a. This guy should probably be bar actually, but collision impact equals false. So by default, there won't be a collision impact unless it gets set in these locations. Let me think. In all these instances, it's 2, 3, 4 weapon impact, but in this particular instance, it would be unique. So we can just write script collision impact right here. Collision impact with sound. We'll go ARG5, ARG6. I think final choice is appropriate in this case because we don't have an ARG8. So weapon impact would be fine. And then ARG7 is the sound. So all this can be removed. Okay, good there. And then what I wanted to do with the collision impact is set it to true here. And remove this, remove this, remove this, and then just say right here, if collision impact, then we do script collision impact with sound, ARG2, ARG3, weapon impact, ARG4, and so we just have a boolean and just call that script once, or at least have the call for it in one location, minus this guy, which had a unique situation where we needed to pass in that way. Yeah, and then so what that allows us to do is actually pull this guy completely out of here and put this down here at the bottom. So that allows it to occur as it needs to, but then more importantly, there's this scenario where I want the collision impact to occur after here. So if the hit points is greater than 0, hit points are greater than 0, collision impact equals true. So then now it can run down here as well. So R2 through 4 and weapon impact should be fine because it's going to be by default whatever it is I set, which is right there. Sound impact and object explosion bullet. So all that will be correct for this. Cool. I think I'm going to pull the weapon impact down here. Oops, wrong place. Cool. That should address all of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this other one. I'm going to comment this one out. So we'll test level 1 first to make sure I didn't mess anything up, which I'm not expecting that I did, and then we'll go test level 2 and make sure everything is working as expected here. This is already taken care of. I don't know why. Hit heli.hp less than or equal to 0. Let me look at that enemy. Make sure I have a destroy event on the heli, or at least if less than 0, destroy on the step event. Script base enemy die, which should be right there. ATH, not sure what that is off the top of my head. ATH DS list create. Okay, so I'm passing in an argument to that script. So I think we're in good shape there. I believe that should be doing what it should be doing, what it should be. And then this guy doesn't need an X or a Y, although I think I'm okay with passing in the same stuff that I have for one of these. X and Y position, do the metal impact sound and the object bullet impact. So there we go. Boom. Let's try that. Comment this guy out too. So first of all, we could probably save ourselves a little bit of processing power if we check the room name. It's equal to room level 1, and then only, check certain things in certain rooms. Else if room get name room is equal to room level 2. And I'll make sure those are the room names correctly. Script collision gen self object base vehicle objects heli wolf. Cool. So those room names, let's make sure they're room level 1 and room level 2. Yep, they are. So that should work correctly as expected. So we have to first go check level 1, make sure everything works as expected with the bullets. And then we'll go check level 2, make sure we didn't create any bugs for level 2. Tedious process on this cleanup, but well worth the time save in the future and the maintaining the script, maintaining the entire code base. So this is one of several pieces that I have to do on code cleanup, but this is going to be well worth it.
Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Okay, we got a bug apparently. Copy the bug, abort, take it over to a different IDE so that we can see it a little bit easier. Mini blast bullet, dodge, base vehicle collision. So I've got an issue in the script base vehicle collision. Line 6. Let's go look at that. I didn't really even touch that. So let's just go look at it real quick. It's having a problem with argument 0.dodge, which should be the vehicle. Does the vehicle have a dodge? Property. And is that property set to true? It definitely can't run this inside of level 1 because level 1 should not. This should be preventing this from running. And level 1, maybe I don't even need to have this check on here. Let's just see what we can do here. See if this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I would like to. Let's see what room get name returns real quick. I think it's a string. I don't think it's an index. As a string, yeah. Okay. Let's try this without that if-else if statement on there. I'm surprised it even tried to get into there.
Mission 1. Death at dusk.
Still has a problem with that one. So it's almost like the bullet is going through. Yeah, it's calling base vehicle step. Base vehicle step is calling the collision event. So this should not be occurring at all. Let me make sure that's in this. Yeah, so I can use that one. So this should not be calling this in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know where that came from, but we're gonna have to go look at that. Mini blast bullet step event. Ah, what's that right there? First of all, looks like we just got a bug in here. No. Let me save progress and exit out of Game Maker really quick, guys. and then come back into Game Maker. I notice like Game Maker starts getting a little buggy when your computer starts running a little bit slow. Like I said, my computer is running a little bit slow. So let me just go check this out. We're so close to having this finished. But that would explain why we had that issue where that is running and it shouldn't be. Yeah, Black Ops, every time you're in here, man, it seems like you're definitely in support of that, so I appreciate that a lot. Just the perspective on that. Okay, opening Game Maker back up. Closing this guy. Open Game Maker. Close this one. Okay, let's go back and look at the object, the Skycurser weapon, and the mini blast bullet, the step event. So we have two pieces of code executing. This one is incorrect. Somehow that got in there. I have no idea how, because I did not add it. I think it was just Game Maker acting a little bit buggy. I think what that means is I can add these back in here, and that would save me a little processing power in each room. It wouldn't be hitting every single one of those on every step. And as I add more enemies and more rooms, it's going to be helpful not to hit objects that are not in that room. Not to check for a collision for objects that are not in that room. Okay, so we're almost there.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
Okay, I'm satisfied with that. The last thing I'll do here is go into check the controller for object boot and make sure that we start out going to the it's going to be the menu. Controller room menu, and send this to room level 2, and we'll check our connections with those enemies. It's in script, press start. Now that I'm looking at it, script, room controls, press start. There it is, room level 2. Play. So this should take us right to level 2, and we should be able to then test our controls against the base vehicle object, which is all the different vehicles. and the helicopter when it comes in. So I don't have any sound on level 2. That's perfectly fine and intentional. So I think we're in a good spot because the bullet impact is occurring properly. There's one issue that I'm noticing with this bullet impact. Mainly I think it's just with object-based vehicle rather. That the vehicle is not destroying itself when it gets below a certain number of hit points. And let me just see. That shouldn't be too difficult to add in here. I thought it was in here, but yeah, that must have been what happened. Is that step event must have gone over to the other object. Here we go, base vehicle. Remember how we just had that problem? Self.id, that should fix it right there. Game maker, are you going back in game or what? Just not out of game. Alright, so it just added the step event to the base vehicle that was in there previously. It seems like you must be able to do drag and drop between objects with events and actions. That or Game Maker, again, just had a bug. But I've never tried to drag and drop events and actions between objects. Because in my mind, that's just not how I would generally work with an object, but apparently that's what happened because that step event and base vehicle got pulled over to the mini blast bullet check. Yes, this is right. Yeah, that is correct. Man, we did it, guys. We did it. We did it. Okay, so let's just clean that code out of that object. Thank you. And that would be, let's get out of here. Get out of here. It's in this step event. We can clean this code up. We no longer need this code. And we can clean up this code right here. I think we can also clean up the bullet impact. Yeah, I do remember seeing that over in this script, weapon collision. And then there's this guy right here, which I'm okay with just letting that continue to be here for now. It just destroys the shotgun bullets when they get to a certain point in the screen, a certain distance away from Skycurser. Okay, so boom! Code cleanup complete on that one. Okay, so that took me a while today, guys, and I have to spend some time with my family, so I'm going to call it a day on that one, and you know, if I have a little bit of time, I may just hop on for a little bit later, do the hit point indicators and the score indicators when destroying enemies, but I'm not entirely certain I'll be able to do that. That's just kind of dependent on what my time looks like a little bit later. But thanks, guys, so much for joining me. And I may, first of all, I'm going to leave you with our intro outro, because I think that is a good way to end the stream when possible.
Want some berries? Some berries and crackers? You want your daddy?
So I'm going to do that really quick, guys. Give me just a minute. And then I'm also going to check and see if any of my buddies are online. I might host somebody on the way out here. So if I find one of them, I'll host them. And this will be it for me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me on Skycurser Daily number 34, where we hopefully inspire you to be a better indie dev. Until next time, guys, thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.